Hey, everybody.
Hey, Rabbi.
Hello, Andy. Wait, I can't see you.
You want to see me?
Desperately.
Okay, it's at your risk. Here.
Hey, I recognize that.
Hey, there's Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and then you have more
Hi.
Emily,
Oh my gosh, wow.
and this is Mara.
Hi.
Hi, Mara.
And we
Hi.
thought we would listen to you while we had a little food. Is that okay?
Absolutely. And
Yeah, we're not eating any bread.
you can unvideo yourself if you want to. Don't worry. I just wanted to see it for a second. I've been sitting on all these meetings and eating and doing all these things while I listen to these meetings. I just turn my video off so no one sees me. Perfect.
Yeah, well, I'll turn mine off. But I just want to say thank you for the your really nice, thoughtful videos that I've been enjoying every morning.
Thank
The word,
you.
absorbing every morning is probably a better word.
You're very, very welcome.
All right, thanks. I'm going to go on anonymous mode.
Okay. Let's see over here. There was a way. Hold on one second. How did I do that before? Does anyone remember how do you add a document? Hi, Shelley Kaczynski.
Do you mean share the screen?
No, there was a way to before there was a way to add a
You know how much?
document, like to upload a document.
To everybody?
Yeah, so everyone could
Kind of upload it.
Just a second.
There was a way to do it. I was showing Leonard how to do it the other day. This.
Cousin Stuart. You're getting gray. You're muted.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
Click on chat, more, option share file and meeting. I don't see that. Am I not the host of this meeting? Wait, is somebody else hosting this meeting?
Hi, Stuart.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Now we can.
Okay, great.
Hi, Fran.
Hello, everyone.
Hosted this meeting? Is anyone on that's hosting other than me?
That's the Chaim Center.
Hosting?
No,
What's
just in
by your
no,
name?
by your image.
Hi.
Over share.
Here's Susan. And here you.
Everyone's having a confusing time with Zoom.
A little bit.
Except for the bandits. Right?
What'd you say?
Except for the bandits. They know exactly what they're doing.
That's right. They always know.
The bandits.
Right, what happened if you click on the share screen?
Well, I can do share screen, but I mean, that's an option, but I'd rather, oh, 1 second, file. I could just share the screen, but I wanted to, there was a way.
That is.
Oh, I am the host. I am the host with the most. Okay. So the other day there was chat, and then there was more. I know.
Where's the ellipsis?
Okay, whatever. I guess we'll do.
You're muted now, Alan.
Make a link to it.
Are there any technologically savvy people here that know how to add? It used to be that you could go to more.
We don't even see more.
There is no more.
No, that's in my world over here. Mute, allow.
You
Oh,
don't
I
see
see.
more?
I see more. It's on the
I
right of your
see more.
screen.
I see more.
Oh, that's bad.
Also.
I
That's
see
really
more.
bad.
I don't see my face, but I see more. Okay.
I don't see your face.
I see David
I
now.
see your table.
Oh, hi, Sue.
I know. How can I see my face? Oh, I guess I have my screen turned around. I don't know.
I see a table at your house.
As soon as you told me I was going gray, I turned the screen around, Alan. That's what you get for telling me that.
No, I was telling Stuart that.
Oh, no, I think you were telling me that.
No, I didn't get a message from you, Alan.
So I saw one of these funny memes I saw, pretty soon we're all going to find out our real hair colors. Sue's actually blonde.
Huh?
Yeah, the gray color is going to come out soon.
Yeah, right.
It's like Begoun.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Can anyone tell me on my iPad how I can, instead of seeing my table, you can see me? I don't know how to turn it around on
Look
here.
around. There's a little picture of a camera with a.
Yeah, I don't, it's not
squirrel.
on my, it's not here.
It's not on an
You gotta do
iPad.
the selfie.
Oh, it's not on an iPad.
Then
Okay,
turn
well,
your
you'll
phone
just have to
around.
look at,
I'm on an iPhone.
well, you'll just have to look at my table.
Turn it around.
That you can't see us.
Yeah, then I'm looking at the back of the iPad. It's okay. You don't need to.
You don't have a little icon of a camera with 2 arrows on it?
What
I
are you
found it.
using,
I
David?
found it. It was
Okay.
concealed.
Was hiding in the front closet.
It was concealed.
Concealed.
Oh,
Okay.
now for sure you see my table. Okay, let's go back to that. Oh, there we are.
We see nothing.
Oh, you don't see anything? I see
don't
myself
see
real
anything.
big.
Alyssa's iPad.
Alisa.
I'm
Alyssa's
super fussy.
Oh,
All right.
that's bad.
Okay, I'm gonna just mute everybody. And
oranges, though.
the way this works is I've muted everybody, but anybody can unmute themselves at any moment if they have anything that they want to say, ask, add, whatever. Everybody can hear me? Okay. So Pesach is in a week from tonight. The first Seder is a week from tonight. And that's pretty awesome. I'm excited. And I think that, let me just tell you the origin of this class, why we decided to do this class, and what we hope to achieve in this class. And after I tell you that, I'm going to give everybody an option if they want to remain on the class or not. I'll tell you why. So the way this came up was basically a realization that a number of people are going to be either home for the first time, like on their own by themselves for Pesach, or maybe, with somebody else, but they might be used to going to a large Pesach Seder, or my hair doesn't look very good right now, or hosting. They may be used to hosting a large Passover Seder with lots of family members, which ends up being sometimes more of a family holiday celebration than an actual Pesach Seder. And at the end of the day, a lot of people have expressed to me that they actually don't know that they really know exactly what they need to do to run a Seder, to do a Seder properly. And as a result of that, we decided I would take everybody through the steps. Now, let me be very, very clear about what the goal is over here. The goal of this class is not to provide any inspiration. The goal of this class is not to provide any wisdom. The goal of this class is not to provide any insights into the spiritual meaning of Passover.
So it's like most of your other classes.
Exactly.
Right.
You can mute yourself again. In fact, I'll do it for you. there. The goal of this class is to give everybody the nuts and bolts, the details, the nuts and bolts of how to run a Pesach Seder according to halacha, according to Jewish law. So that, with that information, I just want to say, anybody who at any point says, you know what, this is not where I'm at, this is not what I'm looking for right now, that's totally, absolutely fine. In fact, what I want to provide everybody with is a very nice, I'm going to put a link, I'm going to put this in the chat right now. Here is a link to a very nice 10-minute video that I found on aish.com called How to Run Your Own Seder, Everything You Need to Know. It's a 10-minute video. That might be more appropriate for some people. That's, might be more what they're looking for. What we're going to be doing is, in the next, hopefully 30, 40 minutes, whatever, is going through detail by detail of what needs to happen in order to fulfill the basic requirements for a Seder, okay? So let me just see somebody just trying to get on. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Now, what I want to do right now is I want to share my screen with you. After this is over, for some reason I was having a hard time. There used to be a way to upload. Maybe Zoom is not working so well anymore, but there used to be a way to upload a document to this Zoom call, but I'm not gonna be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with everybody. So what you're now looking at is my screen. This is that video on aish.com, by the way, that I sent you a link to. Hold on, Leonard's having a hard time getting in. Leonard, are you having a hard time getting in? Okay, let me send it to you. I'm going to text it to you now. Hold on one sec. Okay. Good. Sorry, hold on one second, guys. Zoom is not the best. It's the best we have, but it's not the best. Okay. So this is the Aish video that I just sent you, which you can take a look at. Now, what I want to do is I want to open up a document that I created today called Guidelines for a Halachic Seder. Okay, does everyone see that? I'm on the screen preparing for the Seder, preparing the Seder. Yeah, Poppy, you see it? Yeah, Bob, you see it? Okay. Now remember, I have you guys on mute.
Yeah.
So, okay, so just unmute yourselves if you want to say it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to run through this quickly. In the next, maybe we could do it 30 minutes or so. Anybody who has any questions, absolutely jump in and let me know what I need to clarify. But I put this together. This is the basic structure of the Seder and the minimum halachic requirements. Okay, so first let's talk about preparing the Seder. So the Seder, because the Seder can, according to halacha, cannot start before what's called Tzeitzah Chochavim, which means when the stars come out. So let me give you an exact time for when that is. Okay, it is on Wednesday night. It is 8:08. Okay, that's the earliest time that you can start your Seder. 8:08 is nightfall. So just keep in mind, let's say 8:10. Okay, so the Seder can't start before 8:10. The first halachic, I may lose half of you right with this first piece of information, but if you want to make your Seder according to Jewish law, it needs to start at the time, after dark, because it's the 15th day of the month of Nisan. The Seder has to be made on the 15th of Nisan, and it's not considered the 15th of Nisan until dark on Wednesday night, which is 8:10. Because of that, obviously what you want to do is you want to have everything ready ahead of time before you start coming home from shul. Ha, ha, ha. We're not coming home from shul, but okay. So some suggestions are have things ready in advance. Have the bottles of wine open, have the salt water ready, prepare the charain or the moror, whatever you can do to prepare in advance, prepare the charosis, and have everything sort of ready to go before the Seder starts, so that when 8:10 comes along, you can jump right in. Now, let's talk about the Seder plate for a minute. There are different customs in terms of which order to put it in and how to arrange it, but let's just put the basic things that need to go on the Seder plate. So first of all, you have the chazeres, which is lettuce. Okay, so we usually use romaine lettuce for that. And then you have karpas. You can use different things for karpas. People do different things. Some people use potatoes. Some people use celery. I do not recommend using, what a lot of people use is parsley, but that's not really a vegetable that you would eat by itself normally. So that's probably not the best thing to do. So you want to have the karpas ready, and you want to have what's called the beya, the roasted egg. So that would be basically you take an egg and you put it, in a piece of tin foil, and you do the same thing with the zro, with the shank bone. Whoever's drawing on that, that's kind of cool, but I don't know how you're doing that. But the shank bone, so those two things, you basically just roast them on the fire. You can put them in the broiler or whatever you want to do to make them, just to roast them a little bit. And for the shank bone, you can use a chicken, you just use a bone of a chicken leg. That's what we always use. It doesn't need to be anything, you don't need to go out and shecht a lamb in order to have your Seder plate. Just use a bone with a little bit of meat on it. Take a pulki, put it in some tin foil, and put it over one of the flames on your burner, and do it for 5 minutes. Keep an eye on it. Don't walk away from it, and you've got a zro, you've got a roasted shank bone. And your bitter herbs, whatever you're going to use for that. People use charain, people use horseradish. Freshly ground horseradish is the best for sure. And then you have your salt water ready to go on the table. Now 3 matzahs. So it says here that the custom is to try to use, if you can, for the night of the Seder, to use 3 round handmade shmura matzahs. Now, if you're wondering where you're going to find those, I will tell you they have a ton of it at Jewel. So it absolutely can go to Jewel. If you're not going out because you're in quarantine or you don't have a way to get to Jewel, you can let me know. I'm happy to pick some up for you and drop it off at your house. But that is definitely the time-tested custom of using round handmade shmura matzah at the Seder. Okay, now when we talk about the Seder itself, so we begin the Seder. So there are 15 steps in the Seder. Okay, and in the beginning of every Haggadah, you have a list of what those 15 steps are. Okay, you can't see my screen. I mean, you can't see I'm holding it up, but any Haggadah is going to list it over there. Kadesh, Rochatz, Karpas, Yachatz. Okay, it's right there. It's in the Haggadah. Those are the 15 steps. Now, when you're doing, this is important to remember that when you're when you're doing a Seder, you're actually fulfilling 2 Torah commandments, and you're filling a bunch of other commandments that are rabbinical in origin. So the 2 commandments, the 2 Torah commandments that you're fulfilling is the commandment of telling over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of the Exodus. And that is applicable to anybody. It's not just telling your children, even if you're alone, and even if you don't have children present, or you don't have anyone at your table, you would still be fulfilling the Torah commandment by telling over the story of the Exodus. Now, the Haggadah tells the basic story of the Exodus. If you want to embellish upon it, that's certainly praiseworthy. I mean, we spend a lot of time, I told everyone today, everyone's got to prepare a lot and do a lot of, read some Haggadahs or go online and find some good stuff to talk about so that we can embellish as much as possible on the story of the Exodus. The other Torah commandment that you fulfill at the Seder is eating the matzah. We'll talk about that in a little bit further on, okay? The other mitzvahs, the 5 mitzvahs that you fulfill that are rabbinical in nature are eating the maror, that's the bitter herbs. We're going to talk about each one of these individually. Eating the afikomen, saying Hallel, and drinking the 4 cups of wine, and leaning and showing your freedom and your aristocracy, because we went free on this night. So somebody's drawing. Is someone doing that, or is what's going on? Do you see that? Does anyone see those green lines streaking across how's that happening? Kind of messing everything up.
Maybe it's the Zoom bombers, and I'm not kidding.
In order, I've been doing a lot of it. In order for us to be doing it, you have to give us permission and you haven't.
Whoa, who's doing that?
See,
Yo-yo.
that's somebody
Zoom
messing
bomb.
with us.
I think it's someone on your end, not ours. Uh-oh.
I'm going to reshare the screen. Ha ha. We'll teach those Zoom bombers to mess with us. Okay. There we go. Oh, no, it's back. Okay. I think they heard us. All right. Anyway, so moving on. So,
There it is again.
Yeah.
Where's Yo-Yo?
no, he doesn't have access.
Someone's doing it. Maybe they don't know they're doing it.
If they send us some weird,
No, the way they wrote hi, they knew they were doing it.
yeah.
That was Andy going hi. I was testing a theory. I think somebody is touching their screen and they have their marker on. I think that's what's happening.
Ah, okay. Not the Zoom bombers?
Well, they might be interested in the Seder too. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to unshare one more time, and then I'm going to reshare one more time, and then nobody touch your screen. Okay, fine. Everyone sees it?
Yep.
Okay, good. So now I'm going to pause in a few minutes, and we'll take questions. Okay, so there is a minhag, a custom for married men, or at least the leader of the Seder, to wear a kittel. That's a white, an all-white garment. If you have one, great. If you don't, that's fine. I actually have a friend that wears a kilt at the Seder, so I think he somehow got confused between kittel and kilt. But is that what you call those? those like bagpipe Irish skirts? Are those called kilts? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, so Kiddush. So the Haggadah should begin on time, so the children will be awake to ask questions, even if there are no children present. Answering these questions is a mitzvah d'oraisa. It's a Torah commandment to go through this whole back and forth conversation. So in some households, the Baal Habayis, that's the one leading the Seder, would make Kiddush for everybody at the table. But a lot of people have the custom, as we do and as many other people do, is that everybody says Kiddush together out loud, even though we don't generally do that on Shabbos. But on the Pesach Seder, there is such a custom. Now, when you drink the Kiddush wine, you should have in mind that you're fulfilling two of the mitzvahs of the night. One is the mitzvah to make Kiddush, like we have on any Yontif. You always have a mitzvah to make Kiddush. And two is that you're also fulfilling the drinking of the first of the 4 cups. Okay, now we also want to, when you say in Kiddush, in the reciting of the Kiddush, the part of that is the saying of the blessing of Shechiyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu l'zman hazeh, and you should have in mind that Shechiyanu is covering everything. It's covering the fact that it's Yontif, which we always say Shechiyanu on Yontif in Kiddush. It's also covering this unique mitzvos that we're doing on Yontif, which on this particular Yontif, which we don't normally do, the Matzah, the Haggadah, etc. Now, women, because they most likely said the Shehechiyanu when they lit the candles, they should not recite the Shehechiyanu again during the Kiddush if they're saying Kiddush as well, but they should just respond to me. Okay? Let me unpause. Sorry, stop the share for a minute and unmute everybody just for a minute and see if at this point anybody has any questions. I'm going to mute everybody and then just unmute yourself if you have any questions up until.
I have a question that you can't see me, but I'm the table.
I see you at the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I never understood the chazeret or why we have it. Could you please explain that?
Yeah. The chazeret is actually, I have no idea.
So now I don't feel bad. Okay.
No,
and also for some reason we use maror for the maror and another maror for the chazeret. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, that's actually what we do too. So that's.
Okay. So I don't have to get the romaine. Okay.
Second.
David, a question. Can we get the text instructions that you're reading from?
Yes. Yes, I will. I can't upload it. I thought I'd be able to upload it to the Zoom chat. There was an option the other day under more to upload documents. Baby Chaim, you have any idea how to do that? But I will email to anybody who wants it also.
David, doesn't chazeret mean repetition?
Well, it does. Chazara means repetition. Yeah.
Okay, so
If anyone knows what the chazeret is for, please by all means.
So I think it's been established quite confidently that the true maror is lettuce, but it's a century-old tradition to use horseradish too. So what my family does is they use the lettuce for maror and they use mashed horseradish for korech. For korech, we use both lettuce and chazeret.
That's exactly what we do. But the question is, why does the chazeret make it to the Seder?
Why is the chazeret, what does it represent on the Seder plate?
It's just a version of maror. In many places in Eastern Europe, they didn't have lettuce, so they used chazeret for maror. But we know now that it's not the original maror.
Yeah, because the Talmud talks about the actual maror. The closest thing to maror is romaine lettuce. So that's why we that's why we have the two. We have the maror, which we call the horseradish, and we have the romaine lettuce, which we actually use for maror, which is kind of confusing. But why it has its own name and it's on the plate, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so I'm going to go back to share screen mode, and I'm going to go back to, okay, so that's Kiddush. Now we get to the 4 cups of wine. So we drink 4 cups of wine. Each one of the cups of wine corresponds to one of the different expressions in the Torah of how the Jewish people went free. You can take a look at that. That's in Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 through 7. And I will definitely email this to anybody who wants it. Just send me an email. I'll forward it to you. But so the first cup that we drink represents the removal of the geographical boundaries of Egypt. The physical removal from Egypt. The second cup represents the fact that we were removed from slavery. The third cup represents the fact that we were completely once and for all immune to all future possible slavery. And the fourth one represents the fact that we're chosen as God's special people at Mount Sinai. Now, there's a custom not to pour your own wine at the Seder. If you're by yourself, unless you have a robot in your house that's on Shabbos mode and Yontif mode, you're going to have to pour yourself wine this Yontif, that's fine. It's just a custom because, it's a way of showing royalty and nobility that you have somebody else pour for you. As far as which wine to use, ideally you want to use red wine. Low alcohol is fine. But we'll see soon that for people that have difficulty drinking wine, there are other options. Now, what is the minimum amount of wine to drink to fulfill the mitzvah of drinking the 4 cups? So first of all, you want to use a wine cup that holds what's called a revius. A revius is basically, we go with Rav Moshe's amount. Rav Moshe Feinstein's 4.42 ounces. Okay, so 4.5 ounces roughly is a revius. That is now it's important. You want to have the smallest cup you can find that is at least 4.5 ounces. And the reason for that is because ideally you want to drink the entire cup. So it's better to drink a smaller cup, use a smaller cup and be able to drink the whole thing than to use a larger cup and not be able to drink the whole thing. 1 second, somebody's sending me a message over here. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay. So therefore you want to use a smaller cup if at all possible. Now, if you have a hard time drinking wine, so you can dilute it with grape juice. And if you can't drink wine at all, that's absolutely okay. Also, you can use 100% grape juice if you need to. But if it's certainly better to whatever degree possible to use wine. It can be like Rashi wine, low alcohol wine. It's the best thing is to be able to drink the entire cup. At the very least, you should drink what's called rov kos, which is majority of the cup. The next best thing is to drink at least a revius, which is that 4.5 ounces. Okay. Fine. And when you drink, you want to make sure that you're leaning. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to stop the share so you can see this. This is the way you lean. Now, a lot of people think that leaning, can you see that you lean like this? Okay? That's not called leaning. Don't forget, the reason why we're leaning is because we're trying to lean like nobility. We're trying to look like royalty. You don't lean like royalty by going like this. The way you lean is if you have this kind of chair, that's ideal. But if not, put something next to you, the wall, even another person, and you want to lean on your left side against something. Okay, now you will definitely spill all over yourself, so just be prepared for that. But you want to, ideally, when you're leaning, you want to be leaning like this. Okay, not just sitting in a chair and going like this. That's not called, when we talk about leaning, that's not what we're talking about. Okay, so hopefully that is clear. Hey, Julie, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. Okay, now leaning. As an expression of freedom, one should lean to the left while drinking each of the 4 cups of wine. Bob Gottlieb, if you're a lefty, which side do you lean to?
To the left.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. The reason why you lean to the left has to do with not choking on your food, believe it or not. So you don't want the food to go down the windpipe. So even if you're a lefty, you lean to your left. It's a little bit harder because then your arm that you're used to using is kind of concealed by, has your body leaning against it. So you're probably going to need to use your right hand to drink with, but you still lean to your left. Okay, now don't lean onto your arm or your body. Lean most of your body onto a chair, a wall, or another person. Okay, the leaning is done during the drinking of the 4 cups of wine, and as we see during the time of the eating of the matzah, and during the time of the eating of the korech, the Hillel sandwich. You do not need to lean during the reciting of the Haggadah. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Orchatz. Orchatz is when we wash our hands. We wash our hands the same way that we would wash our hands for eating challah or bread on Shabbos, twice on the right, twice on the left, but we do so without a bracha. We do not recite a bracha. Okay. And then we get to karpas. So for karpas, like I said, people have different customs. You can use potatoes. You can use celery. Okay. Those are typical things. And you should have a small piece of it, not too big. And when you eat the karpas, you want to make the bracha. The bracha is Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, Borei pri ha'adama. It's written right there in the Haggadah. Okay? And then moving on, you get to yachatz. So with yachatz, you're going to, the leader of the Seder, or whoever's got the matzahs in front of them, is going to break the middle matzah in 2. Take the middle matzah, you have 3 matzahs stacked on top of each other, 1, 2, 3. You take the middle matzah of the 3 and you break it into 2 pieces. The smaller piece is put back in between the other 2, which will be eaten later for hamotzi. The larger piece is wrapped up and it becomes the afikomen. Okay? There's a custom, a very ancient custom that's talked about in the Talmud, where children steal the afikomen. And it's a way to basically keep them engaged throughout the Seder. If you don't have anyone to steal afikomen, that's fine. Not a problem. It's just a custom basically to keep whatever kids might be there excited and engaged. Okay, and when you eat the... okay, fine, forget that. Now, Magid. Magid is when you get to the part of telling over the story. Now, basically over here, you just follow straight through what the Haggadah says. You follow the story as the Haggadah tells it. You can absolutely read it in English. In fact, I encourage you to do so because the main thing is really to try to understand what the Haggadah is all about, which is why the very first part of the Magid section is in Aramaic. The reason why it's in Aramaic is because at the time that the Haggadah was compiled, Aramaic was the spoken language at the time. And the person who compiled the Haggadah was trying to point out right from the beginning, say it in a language that you understand. Use whatever language you understand, because the purpose is to tell the story and to understand it. Okay, follow the instructions in the Haggadah. There are certain times you uncover the matzahs, certain times you cover the matzahs. Just pay attention to the small print, and the Haggadah will give you all of that. I don't really feel like we need to go through the 4 questions, the Avadim Hayinu. Just follow all of the details over there, and you'll be fine. Then, of course, the 10 plagues, we're familiar with this. For each one of the 10 plagues, you take a little bit of the wine on your fingertip, and you dip it onto the plate or whatever. You dip for each one of the 10 plagues. That's all probably pretty familiar. Okay. Then after that's all done, you get to the second cup. At the very end of the Magid, you make a bracha. There's a special blessing that you make at the end of the Magid section, and you drink the wine. Now, when you drink the wine, you're drinking the second cup. You have to have in mind that you're fulfilling the second of the 4 cups, and you want to lean again the same way I showed you against something. Lean to your left. Okay, and we do not make a new blessing on the wine. Actually, sorry, we do make a new blessing on the wine. My bad. Even though we already made a break pri hagafen earlier on, and the reason for that is because we had a long break in between. That Magid section can take quite a while. So since we make a break in between, you do want to make a bracha, a new break pri hagafen, and it's printed there in the Haggadah. So at this point, you're really just following the Haggadah. Okay. Then you get to rachza, which is where you wash your hands because you're about to eat the matzah. Now this time you wash your hands the same way you wash your hands when you eat challah on Shabbos, twice on the right, twice on the left, and this time you do say the bracha of al natilas yadayim, and you don't talk, just like it would be when you washed on Shabbos. Okay, and you're now going to. This is really kind of the big moment of the night. You're now going to fulfill the Torah Commandment of eating matzah. It is a Torah commandment. The Jew is commanded to eat a kazayas of matzah on the night of the Seder, both Seders. So it's a mitzvah deoraisa. It's a Torah commandment to eat matzah the Seder night. So you're going to say hamotzi. Obviously, there is a custom. This is a nice custom based on the psalm in Tehillim, where it says, "Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha," you should serve God with joy. There's a minhag, a custom, to kiss the matzah before you eat it. Okay, and then you recite the hamotzi, and you're going to eat the matzah. Let's talk about how you eat the matzah. This is important because remember, this is the Torah commandment right here. So you want to get this right. So you have the 3 matzahs. Okay, you lift all 3. The one in the middle is broken, but that's fine. You have 2.5 matzahs, okay, stacked on top of each other. And you say hamotzi, okay, and then you drop the bottom matzah. And now you're going to make a special bracha, not on the actual eating of the matzah, not on the hamotzi, but the bracha for the mitzvah of eating the matzah, which is asher kiddushanu b'tzivanu al achilas matzah. It's right there in the Haggadah, and it's the blessing that you're making for the mitzvah, just like you make a bracha when you put on your tefillin, or you make a bracha when you shake a lulav. You also make a bracha when you eat matzah, because it's a mitzvah. So he's making 2 brachas. You're making the bracha of hamotzi, like you would anytime you're eating bread or matzah, and you make the bracha of asher kiddushanu b'mitzvah. You sanctified us with your commandments of eating matzah, and you commanded us to eat matzah. Okay, then you break both matzahs together, and you want to have as little interruption as possible, and you want to eat what's called a kazayas. We'll talk about how much a kazayas is in a minute. From the top matzah, and a kazayas from the middle matzah. Okay, so a kazayas is a roughly 45 to 50 cc's, okay, which translates into, if you're using square matzahs, regular machine square matzahs is about 2/3 of a matzah. If you're using round ham matzahs, it's about a half a matzah, a little less. Okay. Now the truth is, you don't really need to eat 2, so I wouldn't worry too much about eating 2. Eating 1 kazayas is really enough. Everyone at the table should eat 1 kazayas, which means if you're using the round matzahs, a half a matzah. If you're using the square matzahs, 2/3 of a matzah, to fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah on the night of the Seder. Okay? Now you got it. There's a time limit over here, which gets kind of kind of hectic, but you have to eat it pretty quickly, okay? You ideally want to eat it within 2 to 4 minutes. And of course you want to eat it while you're leaning, okay? So, so you're going to take the matzah, you're going to lean to your left, you're going to say the bracha, you're going to say both brachos, and then you're going to take a kazayas for you. You're going to give everyone at the table a kazayas. You're going to lean to your left, and you're going to eat the matzah. Okay? Now you move on to moror. I think what we should let's pause here for a second. And anybody have any questions on eating the matzah or anything up until now?
Jeffrey does.
Yes. If people have dry mouths, they're not going to be able to do that without lubrication.
Yes. You could drink a little water with it.
Yeah. So is that okay for people who have dry mouths? Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to stick. You're not going to be able to.
Yes. You can take it down with a little water. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Just let you know.
That's from a dental perspective.
David?
Thank you. Yes. Another dentist. Yes.
Is it necessary for everybody that's at the Seder table to eat from the 2.5 that are left, or does it?
Good question. Good question. So here's what I recommend doing. So everybody at the Seder should eat a little bit from the matzah that you made hamotzi on. So what I would do is before you do all this, before you go wash, before you start all of this stuff, give everybody the matzah that they need to eat to fill the mitzvah. So give everybody, if you're using a hand matzahs, give everybody at the table a half a hand matzah. If you're using the machine matzahs, give them all 3/4 of a matzah. And then you'll go wash and you'll make the hamotzi and everything, and then give them just a little tiny piece like you would on Shabbos. Just give them a little bit from your matzah to add on to their, because there's not going to be enough in your 3 matzahs. I mean, depending on people at your table, if it's just 2 of you, there actually will be. But if you have more than 2 people, there's not going to be enough for everyone to get a half a matzah from the matzah that you made hamotzi on. So they don't need to eat a half a matzah from that matzah. They need to eat a half a matzah, and they should have a little piece from the matzah that you made hamotzi on. Okay, clear? Yeah, Julie.
Yeah, first, sorry I was late, but I have a question. Can we go back to the plagues for a second?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to read as you were saying stuff, but I was also catching up a bit. It said that you needed 16 pores. First question is, are you using pores and the dips with your finger interchangeably?
Yes.
Okay. Why 16
some people,
rather than 10?
So
I didn't get that far in the thing.
So you have 10, and then let me find it in my Haggadah over here. So there's, everyone has a different Haggadah, but there's one place where it says, right before the plagues, it says, Dam v'esh v'simros ashan, blood, fire, and columns of smoke. So for dam v'esh v'simros ashan, blood, fire, and columns of smoke, you do 1 dip for that blood, fire, columns of smoke. That's 3. Okay. And then you have the 10 plagues. Now you're up to 13. And then it says Rabbi Yehuda abbreviated them with Ditzach Adash Ba'achav. So you do 1 dip for each one of those 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the sharing the screen, and we'll continue going through. Okay, so you get to maror. So maror, again, really, if you wanted to be doing the best thing for maror is really to use romaine lettuce. Now, if you're going to use romaine lettuce, you should be very careful. Check the romaine lettuce, because a lot of times romaine lettuce has bugs on it, and bugs are not kosher. They're very not kosher. So you want to make sure you're not eating bugs. In this year, it's going to be easy because you're not going to have a lot of people there. I mean, sometimes when you have 30 people at your table, I will literally spend 3 hours checking lettuce on Erev Pesach, but it's not going to be like that this year. So if you're using romaine lettuce for maror, you should use. What I do is I take out a piece of paper, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I spread out a couple of leaves of lettuce to cover that. you can also, I bought this a couple of years ago and it was a game changer for me. I love this thing. It's you can't see it, but it's a digital scale, and the digital scale weighs in ounces. So I can just put the maror on and weigh it out in advance, 25 to 29. Actually, I have a different. It weighs it in ounces. This isn't the right number, but you know, you want to make sure that you're using. It's a significant amount of maror. If you picture an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you want to use the maror that would cover that page. If you're using the leaves, if you're using the stalks, it's denser, so you don't need to use quite as much. Okay, so that's the ideal thing. If you want to use horseradish, that's fine, but it's got to be a kazayas. And a kazayas of horseradish is basically an ounce. You have to take an ounce shot glass. Okay, what happened over here? Oh, covered in ice. You've got to take an ounce shot glass and pack it with horseradish. And good luck, you know, good luck eating that down and not, you know, going crazy. So, but some people do that. But what Chaim mentioned, this is what I'll mention in a minute, is we do use horseradish in the next step, but we'll hold on for that. So we do not, when I'm talking about horseradish, by the way, I'm talking about ground horseradish, which you want to do before Yontif. Horseradish in a jar generally has sweeteners added to it, so it's not really ideal. But you can if you need to. Okay, and then you're going to dip the maror into the charosis and shake it off. People like to pile on the charosis. You don't really want to pile on the charosis because the whole point of eating the maror is that it should feel bitter. The charosis is sweet. So you just want to kind of dip it in there and shake it off. Kind of like it's symbolic of tempering the bitterness with the sweetness, but you really do want to taste the bitterness of the maror. And when you eat the maror, you don't lean because the maror represents the bitterness of slavery. You don't want to lean when you want it. That's the part where we actually feel as if we are enslaved. So we're supposed to be focusing on that. Then you take the Hillel sandwich, you combine the two. So you take the bottom matzah, okay, and this is only rabbinical, d'Rabbanan, therefore you can use the smaller amount of matzah. You only need a quarter of a matzah, of a round matzah, okay, and then you can put the romaine lettuce on it, or you put the horseradish on it, or a combination of the two, and you put a piece of challah on top and on the bottom, and you dip it in the charosis, shake it off, and you say the line there, Zecher L'Mikdash, and then you eat the Hillel sandwich leaning to the left. And that's because even though there's maror in it, which is bitter, but it's surrounded by the matzah, which represents freedom and liberation. Okay, so that's the matzah, maror, korech part. Okay, and then the rest is pretty straightforward. Shulchan Aruch is the meal. Okay, I always tell people, don't get too caught up in the meal. The meal is not the main thing. Because if you eat too much, you will see soon that when you eat the afikomen, you're supposed to eat the afikomen while you're still hungry. So, or you still have some appetite left. So the festive meal is eaten. It's traditional to begin the meal with an egg, which symbolizes the chagiga offering. That was one of the special offerings, sacrifices that everybody brought on the Yontif. And that's a way of kind of remembering the Beis HaMikdash or the temple, and the offerings that we used to bring on Yontif. Now, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with this, but you're supposed to try to finish eating the afikomen by chatzos, midnight, halachic midnight, which I will tell you right now is, I don't have it on this calendar, but it's usually like around 12:30, 12:45 in the morning. So you should be fine with that. And then there is actually, this is an important thing, Ashkenazic custom, and this is a pretty serious custom. We don't eat roasted meat. Now, of course, everyone eats brisket at their meal, but it should be roasted with liquid. It shouldn't be dry roasted, because we don't want to mistake it and think that we're eating the actual Korban Pesach, the actual sacrifice, the Pesach sacrifice, because it's not. The way that was eaten was dry roasted. So we make sure to put some kind of liquid or whatever in the brisket or in the roast that we're having. Okay, fine. Afikomen should be eaten, like I said, before chatzos, which is around 12:30, 12:45. It should be eaten while you still have some appetite left, so make sure you don't stuff yourself at the meal. And goes back to the original size, the larger size, so you want to use a half of a hand matzah or 2/3 of a machine matzah, and everyone should have at least a little piece of the actual afikomen in addition to the remaining amount, which you can make up from other matzahs. And after you eat the afikomen, other than water, and there's 2 more cups of wine still to go in the Seder, but other than water and the cups of wine, you shouldn't eat anything else that night, because that should linger on the taste of the afikomen should linger in your mouth for the rest of the night. We eat the afikomen leaning to the left. Again, we try to make sure we eat it within 4 minutes. And then we bench. Benching, we fulfill the mitzvah of drinking the 3rd cup. Okay? And then make sure you lean to the left, of course, when you drink the 3rd cup. And fine. And then we open the door for Eliyahu Hanavi. We open the door for Elijah. We pour the cup for Elijah. A lot of people have the custom of using that cup that we poured for Elijah to use the next day for Kiddush, for the daytime Yontif meal. Okay, and then we pour the 4th cup. And the 4th cup we use to say Hallel. So we recite Hallel, and we drink the 4th. Actually, we drink the 4th cup. 1 second. Confused. Is that right? Did I do that right? Hold on. Yeah, we drink the 4th cup after Hallel. So right after the reciting of Hallel, we recite Hallel with rejoicefully, and then we drink the 4th cup. Again, leaning to the left, you want to drink the majority of the cup, ideally all the cup if you can, but at least the majority of the cup. You can mix it up with grape juice and wine, and then at the end, Nirtza. That's all the songs. Echad Miyodea, Chad Gadja, all those things. That's the end of the Seder, and that's the basic rundown. Now, I want to make sure people have a chance to ask questions because, like I said, the goal of this was to give everyone an opportunity to kind of get an overview. But if there are any specifics, anyone wants to go back to anything specific, we could do that.
David,
Yeah.
on the Elijah cup, for us that live in apartment buildings, do we open the front door of our apartment, or could we go out on our balcony, which is actually outside?
Yeah, you could do the balcony. You could do really either one. Either one is fine. Good question. I like that question.
David?
Yes.
Okay. We were told that, we started this custom quite a while ago. Elijah is supposed to be the heralding of the Messiah and a better time to come. And the idea that everybody understands that they have to participate in some way personally in bringing the Messiah. So we leave Elijah's cup empty. And right before we sing it, everybody takes a little bit of their wine, go around the table and they pour a little bit of their wine into Elijah's cup. And then we sing Eliyahu. And that has had some meaning for people to understand that they have some part in this. It's just not something that can be done with.
I like that. That's a nice custom. Make sure you fill up after you do that, though. Make sure everyone fills their cup back up. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's Lubavitch, is I think where we heard about it, and it really is meaningful to people. They get the idea that it's not just going to
play a role in bringing the redemption. It's a beautiful symbolism. Yeah, I like that. I may even start doing that.
I thought it was a wonderful one.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? I mean, again, this was not meant to be inspirational or insightful or wise. It was just meant to be nuts and bolts of what you need to know to be able to make the Seder. Julie, I thought there was a way to upload a document into a meeting, and it usually was under more, but I don't see that there anymore. Am I missing something? Have you figured that one out yet?
You mean for people to print?
Yeah, like when I first started doing, there was a way I could actually upload a document and everyone could a link to an actual document, not just in the chat, but but that doesn't seem to be there.
Well, could you put me on as a co-host and I'll see if I can do it?
Yeah.
While we're answering questions, and then if not, I'm taking a screenshot so I can email everyone.
Okay, fine.
David, question.
Yeah.
Netan told me that you only dip the parsley on the first night and not on the second night. And I had never heard that, so I wanted to check with you.
I have never heard that either. I think that, you talking about the karpas?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the custom is to dip it on both nights. Yeah, I think you may have gotten that confused. It was so cute. I got a call today from a friend of mine, from a guy who went on one of my trips, and he was telling me that his son was telling him this story about Noah, and he'd never heard the story before. And he's like, I want to put my son on and tell him the story. So he gets on, and the son starts telling me the story. He says, God said there was going to be a flood, and Noah said, but God, are you going to destroy the world if there are 50 righteous people? And God said, no, I'm not going to destroy the world if there's 50 righteous people. He's like, how about 40 righteous? So he goes and tells the whole story, but he was mixing up the story with Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah with the story of Noah and the Mabul and the flood. So, but it was very cute. But sometimes kids, they hear things and they get it just like slightly off, and they come back.
David, one other thing. We were looking at each other because we don't use lettuce. I think it has to do with the Bubby and the Zaidi and where they came from, and they didn't have lettuce or whatever. So what we have for the moror is one little cup of really ground up horseradish.
Yeah.
1 cup of chunks of horseradish. So that there's a difference between, and the chunks are what we put the charosis on. And the ground up stuff is what we make the Hillel sandwich with, I think.
Okay, good for you if you can eat that. I mean, that's,
Yeah, I mean, we do.
It actually now I understand a little bit more into Jeffrey's personality.
Exactly.
Wait a second. You also have a minimum of 20 chews.
Yeah, 20.
Nobody can swallow unless 20 chews. Then that increases the possibility of the scent going up your nose so your eyes tear.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Yeah, by the way, if you want your horseradish to remain harif and chazak, you have to, right after you should grind it as close to the Seder as possible. Do it in the afternoon and put it in like a Ziploc or something that's going to seal it in, so it keeps in that.
Okay, one other thing about minhag. We use parsley because the Zayden ate parsley. He ate it as a vegetable.
Okay.
And so for him, then it was no different than, so because of that, everybody puts parsley.
No, that's probably how it started, because our Bubbies and Zaydis probably ate parsley as a vegetable. Now we use it as a garnish,
Exactly. And so
if that's your minhag, then you should do it.
That's it. You do your father's minhag.
Yeah. Any other questions of any? Oh, wait 1 second. So I figured out, can you please load up the document to our shared drive? Okay, yeah, 1 second. Everyone stay put for a second. I'm going to do that. Julie, hold on.
Great, and then I'll put it on.
Okay. Okay, drive. I have one more thing I want to tell everybody in a second. Okay, can I just drag it into our shared drive? Should be able to drag it, right? Wait, so 1 second. How do I, sorry, Julie. I'm in our shared drive. How do I upload it? Can't just drag it in. Uh-oh. Okay, Julie, I think I put it in there. Let me just make sure. Sorry. Yeah, it's in there. Okay. Yeah, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh yeah, so there has been discussion about, one second. There has been discussion regarding Zooming Seders. Okay, and I just want to say that, first of all, there was a letter that came out maybe a week ago or so that said something about that there were a few Sephardic rabbis who came out and said that they were permitting Zoom for families to join together for the Pesach Seder. Okay, so right after that happened, the chief Sephardi rabbi came out and said that that is absolutely, there's no halachic grounds for such a thing. So, and there really isn't. So according to halacha, there's really no room to do that. If people want to connect with their families, what I would recommend you doing is doing a pre-Seder get-together with your family. So you can Zoom with everybody before, don't forget, technically, I mean, sundown isn't until 7:20 or something like that. So you have plenty of time. Yeah, 7:24 is sundown. So if anything you want to do beforehand with your family, if there are kids, if there are grandkids or whatever, you can do a mock Seder, you can do a pre-Seder. Just you can do that in advance of the Seder. Just be careful though when you do that, not to be using don't say the actual blessings, the actual brachos, because then you're saying brachos unnecessarily, and that's a problem. But so you could do that. You get together with the family, with the grandkids, whatever. Have a pre-Seder. You could do some of the things. You could sing Chad Gadya. You could say say Brei Priya Gofen and drink some wine if you wanted, or grape juice or whatever. Also, you shouldn't eat matzah beforehand. You're not really supposed to eat matzah. Different customs, but for sure the day of the Seder, you're not supposed to eat matzah because you have an appetite, an excitement and an appetite for the matzah when you eat it at the night of the Seder. So that's what I would recommend as far as the Zoom issue, as far as that goes. Anybody have anything they want to add? Wait, Julie, I just reclaimed my hosting hood. Did you figure that out, Julie? 1 second. I can't do that. I can't hear you. 1 second. There. Go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's not Julie.
I apologize. It's not letting me do it because we're stuck, because it's only picking up Dana Margolis's files.
Oh.
The account is on her, so.
Okay.
So, or things that were sent to her through L'chaim Center.
Okay.
Because it's marrying the two.
Gotcha.
So I'll email it to.
Okay, whoever wants it, whatever. If you want to just send me an email, you can just send me an email if you want it, and I'll forward it, and I'll send it to whoever wants it. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
it didn't work.
Can we just put it in the chat before we leave?
Yeah, that's what we were trying to figure out how to do, but it's not. For some reason.
Can I just send it in the chat to you that yes, I want it, as opposed to.
No, because then I won't. Just send me an email, because otherwise I'll miss it, because it won't. If you send it in the chat, by the time we hang up, I'll forget that you even exist. Let alone. No offense. Nice. As long as you, Paul, it's just the way my mind works. Okay. Any other questions? Seymour, questions? You good?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. All right. If anybody has any questions, reach out to me. We still have a week, so there's plenty of time.
And one more thing, this class and Allie's class earlier today, which went over the order of the Seder and kind of what it means and bringing it over to, the issues of today, are both going to come out in tomorrow's email, a recording of it. So,
perfect.
So you guys will have it to look and review as you're looking at your sheet, should anybody want it. And maybe what we could do, Rabbi David, is we could just put a link to that on our website like we did for the people to pray for and stuff.
Oh, that's perfect. That's what we'll do.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we'll do
So the link to this document will be,
on the website.
okay.
And it'll be linked through from the
From the
email,
email
from the email tomorrow morning.
Perfect.
Okay,
Amazing.
problem solved.
Okay, Lila Tov, everybody. Take care. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Appreciate very much.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thanks, Rabbi Begoun.
Okay, man.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Lila Tov.
Well, everyone. Be well. Stay well.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.